Hey, you guys. I am doing something really fun, very different today. So it's kind of funny because I'm talking to two different audiences right now because I am currently live on my Facebook business page, Ms. Lori Irvin, but I'm also actually recording this for my podcast, Level Up with Lori, because I thought it would be fun to kind of just come on here, do a little live ramble for you, and ultimately know that I'm going to upload this into my podcast. And if you like this format, I could actually start kind of creating a pattern around how around recording my podcast episodes. So yesterday I shared on my social media channels about how I manifested my husband into existence. For those of you that follow me, you know that I have a brand new mini series coming out. It's totally free. It's called Manifest: The Life of Your Dreams. And it actually starts next Tuesday. So when this podcast episode drops, it will be dropping on the same day that the podcast drops. So there's more than enough time to get into it. For those of you listening and those of you watching, you can actually get signed up for the training at levelupwithlori.com/manifest. It is going to be magical. It is a 3-part mini series, I'm calling it, where I'm literally going to be walking you through the 3 steps that I take when I'm manifesting. And I think what we don't realize about manifesting is that yes, it's an intentional act, but it's actually something that we're doing all the time. It's just that we're not necessarily manifesting the things that we desire to manifest. And what we're doing, like our energy and our thoughts and our actions, all of that really combines into kind of creating the life that we lead. And when I look back at the kind of the big moments in our life, because I was trying to come up with some examples around what I have manifested in my life, and definitely some business things spring to mind. Many of you have heard my story about how I manifested our house and how I manifested our cottage. I'm going to hop onto socials and share those stories again with you this week. But what I realized, and it's funny because I kind of realized it partway through even sharing the story, was just how deeply I manifested Wayne into existence. And I don't really mean like I manifested him like as an embryo to become a human, but I manifested meeting him, and I manifested the life that I desired with a man that had all of the qualities that I desired. And let me take you like through that time in my life. So I was 28. I was living with my boyfriend at the time. We had been together since high school, like on and off, but mostly on. We really like, it was written, right? We were going to be married. We were going to have kids, all the things. And in fact, I had been pushing for that life for years. I felt like that was the next step, right? Like it was just the next most natural step. But when I look back at that time in my life, and it's funny because hindsight is always 20/20, right? I was really unhappy. Like I think I knew I was unhappy at that time because there was a lot of tears. But they were really personal tears, right? Like no one else would have ever known what was going on behind the scenes. Definitely people would have been able to see little holes and like could tell like maybe some things were off, but no one knew how deeply sad I was. Like no one knew the fact that I cried myself to sleep for probably 6 months to a year straight, just wondering like, is this what it is? Is this what life is? Is this what love is? Is this enough? And I kept trying to make things enough that would fill in all the holes and all the gaps in my relationships. So a business that I loved, would this be enough? Like a job that I loved, would this be enough? Like, I kept telling myself like, maybe this just is what life is, right? Like maybe this is what relationships are. Maybe this is what love is. Like maybe it's me, right? And maybe it was me. Like looking back, like I can honestly tell you that it really wasn't that he was a terrible human or that there was anything really remotely wrong. I just know that we weren't meant to be. But when you've been together with someone for 10 years, it's hard to see your life any different way. And I think that that this can happen all over our life, right? Like it's tunnel vision, so much so that we're not awake to what our lives could actually be. We're just on the path. We never question the path. We just go down the path, and we kind of move any other possibilities out of our realm of possibility. But what I knew I wanted at that time, and like I've always wanted to be a mom, and I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. My friends always knew that I wanted to be a mom. Like I just gravitated towards babies and kids, like we were magnets to one another. So that was something that I always knew. And I think that was one of the reasons that I stayed in that relationship as long as I did, was because I knew he'd be a good dad, and I knew that that was the next logical step for us. And I didn't see another way to get what I desired, if that makes sense to you. And I remember at that time in my life, I was working my wedding planning business, and I was working most weekends in the summer. Like, I mean, some of them would be so jam-packed that I would have 3 to 4 weddings on a weekend. And life was really, really busy as an entrepreneur. And I was also working full time as a job. Like my wedding planning business was really kind of like a side hustle. It was like a passion project. And so I was like this, like I was looking at our life, and I was trying to figure out ways to almost shove him forward into the life that I desired for us. So I was like, okay, this is not going to work. Like me working around the clock like this, he was really on like a very steep trajectory in his job. He's a very ambitious human, like really smart, really capable, all like incredible. And, but we were never home. We were barely interacting, like 2 ships passing in the wind. And I just knew that that wasn't the life that I desired as a family. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to teacher's college. I always loved kids, and I've always loved teaching. And so like, it really wasn't like that far off the realm, but it really wasn't the path that I like was taking. Like it was a little bit out there. And so now that I look back at that, I think I went to teacher's college so that I could be like, so that I could build a family life where I was engaged with my children, where we were happy, where there was time together, all of that. And what's interesting is that in going to teacher's college, I actually got all those things that I deeply desired, but I didn't get them in the way that I thought that I would, right? I had decided that I was going to go to teacher's college so that this first boyfriend and I could like start moving towards our future that I felt like I was destined towards. Sometimes the universe has different things in store for us, and sometimes the universe delivers things in a different way than we necessarily expected it, but we have to be open to even receiving, right? Because otherwise we don't see the opportunities or the possibilities that are in front of us. But it's so interesting that when you look back on life, again, hindsight is 2020, when you look back on life, the universe typically delivers everything that you desire and you need. You just maybe aren't like aware of it, right? So anyways, I did get all those things just by going to teacher's college. But what's so interesting is that I remember, so I made a series of bad mistakes, like bad decisions around that time of my life. And I'm not going to dig into all of those on this like little podcast episode or on this live video, but let's just say there were bad decisions, and I just wasn't really living my best life at that time. And I just was really sad. I was a really sad and unhappy person, and really sad and unhappy people do things that are very out of character for them. And I think when you're really sad, you look for instant gratification because it raises your happiness for even just a moment. It feels good, right? So I remember this moment I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting in my truck at the time. I drove a blue Canyon, which actually is on my wish list right now. I've been talking about this vehicle with Wayne. Like I just loved that truck so much. I got rid of it when I got my actually I got rid of it right before we went to teach in Korea for a year. And it was a lease at that time. And I miss it. And I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense with 3 kids, but now the kids are getting a little bit bigger, I feel like maybe it's my turn to have a truck again. And I can't drive an F-150 because they're too big and I would just run over things. But anyways, I remember sitting in this truck, and I was in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for anybody that's listening to internationally. And I was waiting for someone. And I remember thinking like, maybe I'm cutting myself short here. Maybe there's other options. Like maybe I could meet someone, fall in love, and live happily ever after. Like maybe I just remember thinking like, what if, right? And maybe. And I think sometimes when all you really need to shift things in the universe is to be open, to see that there's potential, to see that there's possibility. Because when we're not open, again, we go back to on our path with the tunnel vision where we don't even see what the universe is throwing at us, right? Maybe I had already met 3 men along my path that could have given me that life I desire, but I was so frigging closed off to it, thinking that I knew what was best for me, thinking that I knew the path that I was on, that I had those blinders on. I wasn't seeing what was right in front of me. Who knows, right? I just remember thinking like, well, what if, like, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of closed this conversation really short in my social media. I didn't really expand on meeting Wayne, but I can tell you that, like, if there is such a thing as love at first sight, I knew, and he knew. And I met him and we instantly clicked, and like, not in a way where like we were like making out within like 3 seconds, but like clicked in such a way that it was like instant friendship. Like, have you ever met somebody where automatically you knew we are going to be best friends? I met Wayne and I was like, oh my gosh, you're like the male equivalent to who I am. And what's interesting is, like, as we've gotten to know each other and as we've gone through our relationship, he really isn't the male equivalent of me. We're very, very different in a lot of ways. But in that social setting, in teachers' college, and what's also interesting is that if you had to put Wayne in my path at any other time in my life, like a decade before that, maybe even 5 years before that, I don't actually think that we would have been pulled towards each other in the same way that we were at that particular point in time, because he wasn't what I was looking for when I was 22. And I was probably way too uptight for him when he was 22 and he was going through his 5 years of college and like touring the world, like where that didn't have any, like that didn't interest me at that time. It's just so funny because time and all of those things really come into play when it comes to these things. But if you think that this isn't manifestation, you're wrong, right? I had decided what I wanted for my life, and I made a decision on how I could get closer to that thing, right? Going to teachers college put me closer to the life that I desired, because I could see myself when I visualized myself in the future. I didn't see myself as a wedding planner. I saw myself as a mom that like was really engaged, really active with her kids. Could I have been a wedding planner and done all that too? Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But sometimes you have to close your eyes and ask yourself, like, what is it in this life that I desire? And how can I take one step towards that? Manifesting really isn't just like blinking, telling the universe you want something and having it delivered on a silver platter. You have to take steps towards it. You have to be open to that. And in that moment when I was sitting in my blue, like GMC Canyon, and I thought to myself, what if I could meet someone? All of a sudden I changed everything. I changed, like my feet were no longer like planted in the ground. All of a sudden I could see the possibilities and the opportunities in front of me, so that when I was presented with this human that I connected with, that I could see, I all of a sudden could see the future and the possibilities for us. I all of a sudden could see that there was more opportunities, that there was more answers, that there was a path, like there was a different path that my life could take. And then it was my job inside that manifestation process to actually act on the things that the universe was giving to me, to actually listen to my heart, listen to my soul. Because when I started to get to know Wayne, when I started to really know him, like there was no denying that was there between us, but there was still a lot of hurdles in our way, right? I was still living with another human. There was still a lot of things, a lot of boulders, and I could have played it safe, and I could have just like ignored what was happening to us, or had a ridiculous fling that I look back 15 years later and wish that I had have like followed through, seen what was possible. I could have done a lot of things, but thank God I listened to my heart. Thank God I listened to my soul, and like, thank God I acted in a way that took me on that path to getting towards what I wanted. And so I think a lot of the times I haven't seen this as manifestation in my life. I've just seen this as like chance. But I don't really believe in chance in our lives, because when you think about how many things happen to you on a daily basis, when you think about like all the opportunities that are presented to you, all the people that you meet, all the things that you pass, all the courses you could have taken, all of the paths you could have walked down, I don't want to believe in chance, right? I want to believe in intention. I want to believe that I am the creator of my own life, that the decisions that I make are going to impact that. And so when I think about manifestation, my version of manifestation is knowing what I desire deeply, 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 deeply in my core. I can't tell you enough that I don't want to just like, maybe I can manifest lattes. I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can manifest like winning prizes and stuff too. But for me, it's more about like manifesting things that actually matter to me, living a life that I desire because I desire it, right? And so manifestation is about knowing what you desire and then taking steps towards that, removing barriers, removing hurdles, and seeing that come to life, right? Knowing what is possible. So I'm going to share a few more stories on my social media channels over the course of the next week. Business ones, life ones, maybe little ones. I'm also actually working on a full money course behind the scenes right now too, because I think a lot of us, when we think about manifestation, like income is a big piece of that, right? And so I want to help other women manifest the income of their dreams as well. So that will be launched at the kind of throughout my manifestation mini series and coming after that. So if you are listening to the podcast and you want to hear some of my manifestation stories, head over to Instagram at Ms. Lori Irvin. And if you have your own manifestation stories, like honestly, you guys, share them and tag me. I want to hear them because I think that whenever we hear other people's manifestation stories, I think it gives us hope. And I think more than anything, I believe in a world that isn't about chance. I believe in a world where my energy and my actions dictate the life that I lead, and that I get to choose the life that I desire, and that every single thing that I desire is available to me. And I believe that in my heart and in my soul, that whatever you desire, the universe isn't an asshole. They're not just like giving you that desire for fun so that you can like lay up and have sleepless nights wishing that you had something that you didn't. If you desire something, that thing that you desire, that is available to you. But you are going to have to do your part. It's not just about the universe. It's about our piece in that manifestation puzzle too. It's about us showing up and us taking steps towards those things that we desire. So if you have yet to sign up for my manifestation mini series, you can do that at levelupwithlori.com/manifest. It is starting Tuesday, October 26th, on the day that this podcast is launching. And for those of you that are watching this live, in 4 or 5 days from now. Oh, I love that. So Simone says, I wish this were a joke, but when I first wanted to test out manifestation, I focused on deer. Yes, the animal. Real deer appear everywhere in my life all the time. Truth. It's true. When you test the universe, and maybe I'll share this story over on social media, the things that happen, like the universe will prove to you that it exists. And I have tested it. You guys, I am the biggest skeptic out there about this kind of stuff. I will poke holes in it all day of the week. But what I have decided is that I would rather believe that I'm the creator of my destiny, that it feels good to know that I can have anything that I desire. And I love working towards things, and I love believing in possibilities and believing in opportunities. And if all of this wraps up into manifestation, then that's what I will call it. So take the manifestation mini series. Come join me. It's totally free. levelupwithlori.com/manifest. If you want to dig into money with me, it will be levelupwithlori.com/money. I don't think the sales page is live if you're watching this live, but it will be by the time that the manifestation course comes into play. So you guys, I love you. Hopefully this was really fun. Let me know if podcast listeners, let me know if this seems off because it was a live. Let me know if it worked just as well for you. Those of you that catch it live on my biz page or wherever else I decide to share it, let me know if you like this format. Let me know if you like hearing my podcast episodes live, or if you prefer to just have them in your ears. So have an incredible day. I will talk to you soon.